In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear blower motor on this Dodge Grand Caravan. It's located right behind the passenger side quarter panel here, behind all this plastic. We'll have to pull this off, so let's get started. To get this panel off of here, we will eventually need to remove the seat belts from the lower anchor points, so I'm going to start with that just to get them out of my way. To do that, we'll have to pop off this plastic cover. It should slide up and over the seat belt. I'm using a plastic trim tool just so I don't damage the plastics around it. There we go. Use a 21mm socket, remove this mounting nut. There we go, set that aside. Let's do the same to this forward seat belt for the second row. Pull this up. This one is a T50 Torx. Alright, this bolt stays with the seat belt. It's got a little retainer here. All the way to the back, right near where the lift gate is, you'll see this cargo hook. Remove this with a T25 Torx bit. Next, we have to pop this piece off of here. Take a trim tool and just lift up. We now have to do the same exact thing on the top. On each end there will be a cover that have to be removed. Pop that cover off, and under that cover will be a Phillips head screw. Do the same to the other end of it. Now you should be able to grab onto this. Just pull it straight down, just has some clips. Now there is a seat belt on this, so I'm not going to remove it from the vehicle. I'm just going to let it swing to the side over there. Now let's remove this piece here that covers the speaker and has the seat belt going through it. Just pull straight out and fish the seat belt out through the slot. Behind that panel there are two Phillips head screws. Remove them both. All the Phillips head screws here are going to be the same, so you don't have to worry about keeping them separate. They can fit anywhere where there's a Phillips head screw. On this corner piece here there are two push clips. You're going to have to gently pop those out. The only thing I have that'll fit in here is a metal trim tool, so I'm going to be careful not to damage anything. There we go. And there's another one up top. Now you can take this piece and just pop it out. At this point, we just have to pop this entire panel off of its push clips. So pull on it, start from one end, work your way to the other. You don't have to unhook the seat belt from anywhere. If you just pull out on it enough, you should be able to move the panel out of the way far enough for you to work back here. To get this off, we actually have to get this piece out of here so we can basically pull this away. So to do that, just pull down on this. It was already partially not attached, so clearly someone has been in here before. So when we put it together, we're going to make sure that it seals up, otherwise air won't go where it's supposed to go. Remove two 10mm bolts, one here and one here, that hold this assembly onto the quarter panel. Now you should be able to pull this away. And now with that, you can see the blower motor resistor on the back right here below the blower motor itself. Press on the tabs of the electrical connectors and remove both of them. With those unplugged, you can take a T20 Torx bit, take both of the screws out that secure this blower motor resistor onto the heater housing assembly. There's one. The other one is underneath, a little bit more difficult to see. There's the other one. Now you can pull this resistor straight out, and there it is. Take your new blower motor resistor, slide it back here carefully, line it up, and make sure you don't put it in upside down, and that way it can fit on here properly. It does have a gasket that sits around it, so make sure you actually line it up properly. Now, if you don't, the screws most likely will not fit, so that's how you know. Thread these on. I'm going to start both of them. And now with both started, I'm going to snug them up. It does not matter which one you start first. That's snug. They're threading into plastic. You want to be gentle with them because if you strip out that plastic, it's not going to get tight, and then you'll have other issues. That's snug. Plug in both electrical connectors. When you plug them in, make sure they click, otherwise they can pop out just like that. There we go, that clicked. And the lower one. Okay, if you pull on them and wiggle them, they should not pop out, just like this. Now press this back up against the quarter panel. Make sure everything is lined up still and no wires are getting pinched when you do this. Start in whichever bolts lines up first. Snug them up. Don't make them extremely tight, just snug. This is nice and secure now. Make sure this air duct here is seated onto the housing, otherwise it won't be blowing air where it's supposed to. Let's put this duct back in, clip it onto the bottom first, and then you have to slide it into this upper one. That's why this foam is here, so it can insulate. There we go, just like that. Now let's put this panel back in. Make sure you don't get the seatbelt stuck back there. And at this point, you just want to line up all of the retainers that clip this on. And then once you're sure that they're lined up, only then push it in. Otherwise, you can break them if you don't make sure they're going where they're supposed to. Make sure the seatbelt anchor pokes through. Now put this piece back in. Get the push clips back in here. One on the bottom and one on the top. There were 2 Phillips head screws going into this panel. Make sure these are tight so this doesn't rattle around. And put this one back in. Feed the seat belt through this opening. And now the rear has to hook in first. Has little tabs that grab onto these cutouts. And then once that's in, you can press the rest into place. Okay, let's get the seat belts reattached. Make sure they're not twisted when you do that. Start this one in. It's nice and snug. It's normal for this to move around. Don't worry about it actually bottoming out this whole bolt. This is where it's supposed to stop. And put this cover back on, just like that. Let's get this rear one resecured. This was the 21mm mounting nut one. This also needs to move around, and put the cover over it. Now take this panel. It has clips all along that need to clip in. And now the 2 screws, one on each end. And of course, don't forget the caps that cover these holes. If your outer seal is sitting underneath this piece, grab a plastic trim tool and pop it over. Don't forget the cargo hook on the side. This had the T25 bolt. Make sure it still operates and lines up properly. Now, last piece, this one that covers the bottom here. Line up all the clips. Tap it in, and there you have it. Job done.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.